Hello and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so nice to see you on this fabulous Erev Shabbat. Oh, thank you.
Oh, you just took one of his jokes away.
One person in the whole sanctuary gets challah as they leave. Everyone gets to watch her take the challah. And you just get to stand there and wonder, how come I didn't get challah? And that's the answer, because
You have to come back next week now.
come back next week and try it again. We're going to try it again. We do it every week. Every week we say Shabbat Shalom. And see that? And then
Two challahs for you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So next week you'll have another chance. It's not that complicated. It's just two little words: Shabbat and Shalom. That's it. And then you get challah. But now you get no. Too late now. Hello, those of you who don't. For those of you tuning in for the first time, wondering what kind of congregation is this that we're on our live stream. That's Kendra Muchnick over there. I'm Rabbi Keller over here. Those of you who might be here for the first time or on our live stream, we are thrilled that you're here to celebrate with us. If you are on our live stream, you can participate with us completely and fully and pray along and chant along and read along on our virtual Siddur, our virtual prayer book. It's on our website. CBI Boca.org is where you can navigate. When you get there, top left corner, you hit menu. Under the word menu, there it says services. Hit services, scroll down a little bit. You'll see a picture of him. Right next to a picture of him, you will see another button that says virtual prayer book. You hit that and then hit Shabbat, and then you can follow along with us on all the pages for the service. Not just this week, but anytime. So if you're here now and you're thinking to yourself, boy, this was great, and I want to watch this service all the time, but I happen to live in Idaho, then you can watch it anytime. Anyone from Idaho? All right, I just want to give it a shot. Okay, no, all right, no, you're not from Idaho. Before we begin though, well, we're going to begin with the lighting of Shabbat candles, of course, but we want to invite lots of people to join us to light Shabbat candles. We are blessed with lots of celebration tomorrow. We have 3 B'nai Mitzvah, actually, tomorrow. We have at 10 o'clock, we have the Benot, the Rosenthal Benot Mitzvah, Jacqueline, and Hillary, for adult bat mitzvah. And then at 5:30, we have the Rosado Pate celebration bar mitzvah with Yaakov, with Jacob. So we're going to invite several people to join us to help to light Shabbat. We're going to do a combined power of inviting people up from both families to join us. So for the candles, we need Jacqueline, and we need Hillary, and we need Aaron. I've never called you Aaron. Rosie and Lee, please. Do you want any others, by the way? We're invited. We can invite other people up. Do you want? What's that? No. Okay. Do you want anyone else up here? Do you want Jacob up here too? Do you want the bar mitzvah? Great. Jacob, come up here. Great. Let me open this up so they can see you. There they are. Great. We're on page 2, by the way, in your Siddur, in your prayer book, either in the physical one or in the virtual one. We are on the same pages. We're on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
So now that our time is sanctified with the lighting of Shabbat candles, we will continue to sweeten our presence of Shabbat with Kiddush. That's on page 5, so not that far away from page 2. We're on page 5, and we're going to now invite some other people to join us. So we're going to invite Jesus up here to join us, and we're going to invite Matt to join us. You're going to come, Matt? Yeah, come on, Matt. Come on. Yeah, come on. It's good. Do you want anyone else? Okay, Mike, you okay. All right, thanks, Mark. You come too. Great. All right, so this is, that's for you. And this is for you. This is for you. That's good. Okay. We're on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'vratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh Zecher litziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikomim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'vratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
So now that our Shabbat is completely sanctified through the lighting of the Shabbat candles and through our Kiddush, we are going to continue with Kabbalat Shabbat, the part of our service where we welcome in the Shabbat bride, the presence of our Shabbat bride that enhances our next 25 hours together, making our rest a little more restful, our study a little more filled with knowledge, and all kinds of other beautiful parts of Shabbat. And so we're going to continue with Zamru, which is actually within Psalm 98, and it's on page 16. perhaps the crown of Kabbalat Shabbat, the words written by Shlomo Halevi in the 16th century while he was dwelling in the beautiful city of Tzfat in the north part of Israel, in the Kabbalistic period, reflecting on the presence of this bride that might join us for these hours to heighten our connection to Shabbat. And he was so inspired and so connected that he wrote down the words to this actual prayer, the words to this liturgy. Shlomo Halevi did. Not only did he write it because he was so excited by it, but he was so excited that he actually put his name inside the prayer. So if you turn to page 20 and 21, you'll see I'm speaking about Lecha Dodi. And if you look at the numbered verses, 1 through 8, not number 9. 9 was added later, but if you look at 1 through 8 and you take the first letter of each of the paragraphs, it spells Shlomo Halevi. He actually embedded his own name into the prayer because he was so deeply connected to this particular prayer and the connection that he was making in Tzfat in the 16th century. So we're going to continue with the words. We'll be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. 1, 2, 5, and 9. And we'll be standing at the 9th paragraph and turning to face the door to welcome in the Shabbat bride. Page 20.
Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha ishmi'anu el ha'milchan Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shemu tiferet v'mitila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Likrat Shabbat Lechu v'nelcha Ki hi mekor haberacha Meirosh mikedem nesucha Sof maseh b'machshava techila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Hitoreri Kiva orech kumi ori Uri shir daberi Kevon Adonai alayich nigla Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat
We stand and face the door to welcome the Shabbat bride.
Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam simcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Lekala nikrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi nikrat kala p'nei Shabbat abela.
Please be seated. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish, which can be found on page 26.
Yitkada veyitkada shemei rabba Beholma divrachirte veyamlich malchute Becha yechon v'yomechon Uchaye dechol beit Yisrael Bagala bagala Uvizman kari veimeru Amen. Yehishmei Rabba mevorach leolam lol mehamaya yitbarach yitbarach veishtabach vitpar vitroma mitrase veitadar veitale veitalal shemei de kudesha berichu leela min kol merchata veshirata Tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'olma ve'imeru. Amen.
Continue with our call to worship, Baruch Hu, page 28. Together we stand.
Lai, 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 lai.
thank God for making nights. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhma potech sha'arim ubidvonam mashane itim ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Let's turn to page 33 at the bottom, and let's alternate paragraphs. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. The more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. 34:35.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We continue on page 36. 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, there's eternally Egypt, there's a better place, a promised land, that there's a winding way to that promise, passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together, Micha Mocha, our Song of Redemption, on page 40. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב גולום נר חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Israel. Praise to you Adonai for redeeming Israel. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without the moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with Vishamru on page 44.
לעשות את השבת ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני עשה את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
We continue with the Amidah, which is on page 46, and together we stand.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Ha'hibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Koneh Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chaste Avot Ve'imahot, Umevii Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue silently now with our own silent prayers, thoughts, and meditations, beginning on page 54 through page 62. When you are finished, please be seated. continue on page 60.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Ram, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Ram, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tol beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים Tasim le'olam, Tasim
Very lucky that I learned Hebrew at a very early age. My mom is from Israel, and so I grew up with Hebrew all around me, with Israelis. I grew up in South Florida, so Israelis were everywhere. In fact, my door was never locked. It was like a kibbutz at my house. People would just walk in at any time. And there was Hebrew all the time, and so I grew up with Hebrew in my ear, but I never really. And I went to Jewish day school, so I learned a little bit of the construct of Hebrew, but I never really learned, like, if you know, like, Hebrew properly in terms of how you structure it. There's like 7 different base structures, and once you do them, there's a past tense and previous tense and participle, all these other words I don't know in English either. All those things, the past tense or present tense, all that stuff. But so I didn't learn it. So when I went to rabbinic school, and we had to learn biblical grammar, it was like for me, it was really terrifying. There was a very patient professor in Jerusalem named Yossi Leshem, and he would often come by and check our work, and he would ask me a certain question, and he was a very soft-spoken man, and he would often say to me, "Hey, Ronnie, you don't know it, do you?" No, I don't. He'd say, "You don't." You remember him? Yeah, he said, like, "You don't know it, do you?" And he was like, it wasn't in like a nasty way. It was more of like but you know what? The truth was, I never knew it. I didn't know what he was asking me. I didn't know the construct. I didn't know like I didn't know how it fit together. I could hear it right, but I couldn't break the word down. So he'd often like with a smile and shake his hand and, "You don't know it. You don't know it." Once I knew it, by the way, and he was very happy, and he was like, "You know it, you know it," but that was only one time. I actually remember the word. I remember the word actually too, because it was the word masuk, and masuk in Hebrew means helicopter. And he gave me the root word, and I said to him, I said, "I know what it means," and he said, "You don't know what it means." And I said, "I do know what it means." He was like, "You don't know what it means," and I was like, "I know what it means." And he said, "Okay, what does it mean?" And I said, "Helicopter." I said it like that, helicopter. And he was like, "You do know what it means." By the way, that's my whole sermon for the night. So Shabbat Shalom. I just wanted to share with you my connection with Yossi Leshem, and thank you for being here on this fine Shabbat. I bring it up to you because the Torah portion this week is called Kedoshim. And if you know the word Kedoshim, by the way, I want us to play some biblical grammar and tell me what other words you might know that also sound like Kedoshim. Yeah? Say it, Rosie. Kiddush. Very good, like Kiddush. Like the Kiddush, good. What other thing might you know that sounds like Kedoshim and Kiddush? Kaddish, great, okay, great, Kaddish. What else do we know that might have that same root? Same root. If Yossi's watching, because he's not, because he's in Israel and he's asleep. But if he was, I got the one root right, Yossi. So, yes? Okay, so Elohim is a very good word, but doesn't sound like Kadosh, right? But has the same construct. So there's Kedoshim, there is Kiddush, there's Kaddish, kosher. Love that word, not connected though, but thank you. I love that. Yes. Kiddush? Yiddish is a good word, yes, but it has to have the ka in it. So if you say Kiddush, then it still would work. But I like the attempt. You still get challah. The last one, which is nice, is called kiddushin, if you know what that word means. Kiddushin is the actual word for a Jewish wedding. So it all has the word kadosh in it. Yes, I'm nervous to ask. Afikomen is a great word. It's not even in Hebrew or in Yiddish, actually. So it's actually Greek. But thank you for playing. All right, good. So why do I ask this? Because the Torah portion is called Kedoshim, and the whole thing is about holiness. In fact, the Torah portion is actually called, and you'll hear this tomorrow, by the way, in the morning for the morning service, because in the afternoon the Torah portion switches, so you're going to hear a different Torah portion from the Rosados tomorrow, from the afternoon crew. But the morning crew is going to have this Torah portion, so you're going to hear the word kadosh in here and talk about holiness, and the holiness code, actually. The whole Torah portion is called the holiness code, because it's all about things that are holy. The whole thing. Hence the word kiddush or kadosh. By the way, we just had Seder. So if you start the Seder by saying Kadesh, Urchatz, Kadesh is the first part of the Seder because you do the Kiddush. So all the same root there. Thank you for the three of you that nodded your head like you knew what I was talking about. I appreciate that. All right. So here's what's interesting, though. I'm going to borrow some words from the great late Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. And he says this: something fundamental happens at the beginning of this Torah portion, and the story is one of the greatest, if rarely acknowledged, contributions of Judaism to the world, is what happens in this week's Torah portion, according to the late, great Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. That's what he says. He says, until now, this book of Leviticus that we're in right now is largely about sacrifices, about purity, about the sanctuary, about the priesthood. It's about holy offerings. It's about elite people. So if you're not a Kohen, if you're not a priest, if you're not the son of Aaron, then pretty much the book of Leviticus up until now has just been like, okay, I'm just following along because I'm not a Kohen. So how many people in the room are a Kohen? You know you're a Kohen? Anyone? Cohens? Thank you. That one. You're a Kohen? Shocking. I'm just kidding. So, all right. So yes. So, in fact, the Torah portion says this. It opens like this. Listen to this cool opening. And it's not even, I think it's cool because I'm a rabbi, but Jonathan Sacks thinks it's cool. So this is why we should listen. He says, God spoke to Moses, speak to the entire assembly of Israel and say to them, be holy because I, Adonai, your God, am holy. Everyone, speak to everyone. Up until now, it was only a select few. This week, God says everyone's holy. And I'm telling you, you are. Not just the priests, not just the Levites, not just the certain groups, everybody. all from this root of kadosh. And so the first time, and perhaps the only time, in the book of Leviticus, there's this inclusive feeling. And the inclusion has to do with things. It has to do with, by the way, clothing. It has to do with how we plant things. It has to do with justice. And so here's how I think Jonathan Sacks finds a perfect way to explain this. Because holiness sounds really cool. It sounds cool to be holy, doesn't it? It sounds nice. It has a good feeling to say, God says everyone in this room is holy. It's a lovely feeling. But what he wants to know, Jonathan Sacks, is what does that mean? What does that mean to be holy? What does that mean? Does it just mean to read the word? Does it mean that we come up here and we say the Kiddush and light the candles and so we're holy? What does it mean that we're holy? And that's what he wants us to know. And he thinks, by the way, the Torah portion tells us. It's literally written in the text. It says, here's how you should be holy. It says this. It says, you have to wear certain kinds of clothes, a blending of clothes, it says. That's a weird part. But then it goes on. And it says, when you're going to reap your field, which we're going to hear about tomorrow, right? Right, Jacqueline? When you reap your field, you're not allowed to clear your fields all the way. You're supposed to leave parts for other people. That's how you're holy, because you think about other people. That's what makes you holy. He goes on to say, justice. There's a whole section of the Torah portion that says, if you are a judge or if you're in a moment where you get to judge someone, don't let someone who's poor or someone who's rich change the way you judge them. Judge people fairly. And when you do, he says, Sacks, that's what makes you holy, because you're able to discern those moments. He goes on to say, there's a whole section about workers and how you pay your workers. If someone works for you, your job is to make sure you pay them no matter what. Even if you don't, at the end of the day, if you realize you're out of money, it's either you or your workers, you pay your workers. You don't take the money, you give it to your workers first. That's justice. And Sacks says, that's how you're holy. That's how we make ourselves holy, through our actions. He goes on to say, in our business dealings, when you have some money and share it, and there's interest involved in the dealing you're having, don't hike up the prices just because you know you can, because you have the upper hand. That's justice. That's holiness. He goes on to say, anyone who's vulnerable, don't find that spot in their vulnerability and hit it over and over and over again. Whatever that vulnerability is, don't do that. When you don't do that, you start to connect to holiness. He goes on to say, and the text says this, you have to defend the deaf, the blind, the elderly, the stranger, whoever is in your midst. You have to take care of them. It's your job. And when you do, and you don't walk away or turn away or shine away, then you act holy. That's how holiness is felt. When the whole society is to be governed this way, and be governed this way out of love, that's the key part, by the way, not out of, fine, I'll keep the field open. Fine, I'll deal with my business dealings. Fine. When we do this with our heart, that's when we're holy. Not when we're reluctant to do it. Because reluctancy gets us through it. Fine, I'll pay the workers. Fine, I'll take care of what I'm supposed to take care of. Blah, 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 blah. But when our intent is there, and the heart of the Torah portion says this, and you say, and you can mean the words, love thy neighbor as yourself, and treat thy neighbor as yourself, according to the Torah portion, and according to Jonathan Sacks, that's how we enact We turn on our holiness. So here is my question for you on the Shabbat, is this. We are called in the text to be holy. It says we can. It says it right here. God says, speak to the entire assembly of Israel and say to them, be holy, because I, God, am holy. So we're called to it. The question I have for us on this Shabbat, as we leave the space and as we go on in our lives, is this: are we going to? We have the chance, but are we going to? Are we going to? Are we going to take that root that we just played with, the Kiddush, Kadosh, Kiddushin? Are we going to play with that root and put it into our lives? Are we going to find ways for us to act in holiness? And then, and only then, I think, we will feel like we have fulfilled what the Torah portion is asking us, and that is to act in that holy way. Shabbat Shalom. We think of those in our community who are in need of healing, physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. We think of Chavalea, Bat Esther, Gary Bandel, Daniel Bernstein, Gloria Bernstein, Lillian Bushell, Sloan Caston, Brian Church, Karen Coles, Chuck Curry, Cheryl Cutler, Casey Daskell, Mark Davis, John Day, Jaden Deal, Judith Dratler, Martin Edelman, Margot Engel, Bobby Fitchman, Herbert Fitchman, Jeanette Frankel, Rhoda Friedman, Ida Friedrich, Stuart Fruman, Susie Glatt, Jill Gottlieb, Martin Edelman, Ellen Hedrick, Larry Horn, Irv Hurwitz, Stan Jacobson, Ira Kafka, Shirley Kafka, Gary Kane, Bonnie Kleinman, Michelle Kingen, Esther Rhoda Kaufman, Stuart Kruger, Gloria Land, Rochelle Liebman, Michael Stephen Linder, Michael Medoff, Yankel Yitzchak Ben Moshe, Barbara Newmark, Linda Greenblatt Newworth, Arnold Plotsky, Gloria Plotsky, Elliot Porowich, Mark Rosenberg, Lillian Rosenberg, Howard Rosenbluth, Richard Rosenbluth, Chuna Ben Ruth, Moshe Ben Sarah, Lexi Schlessenberg, Jason Seidman, David Schwartz, Ezra Shashua, Matthew Smith, Diane Spiro, Gloria Spiro, Tzvia Bat Liba Tamara, Perry Victor, Barbara Weiss, Ashley Weiss. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time. Mishabach can be found on page 253.
Help us find the courage to make our renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
It is May. And so if your birthday is in the month of May, and you'd like to be acknowledged for your birthday in the month of May, please stand at your seat. Yes. Any other May birthdays that are actually not standing, but it's really your birthday in May? Some people do this. Like, I'm not standing up. But you can. There's strength in numbers. Any other May birthdays? Yay, May birthdays. We're so excited. We're going to sing to you now. You ready for some singing?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach.
What day of the month is your birthday? May what? 13th. May 13th. 8th. Ooh, that's close to right now. It's interesting how you pick the weekend for the Mother's Day and the day for the Bar Mitzvah. Interesting. What day? May 2nd. Oh, it was passed. Oh, I belated, yeah. Oh, May 13th. Very nice. What's that? Oh, Friday the 13th. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. All right, thank you very much. Mazel tov. You guys can sit down. Yes. Woohoo. It's exciting. Announcements. Tomorrow morning, we have services at 8:30 in the morning on Zoom. Please join us. We'll be discussing the very interesting Torah portion of Kedoshim. 8:30, that's Zoom, service and Torah study. Then we have 10 o'clock, like I mentioned, Rosenthal's, yay! And the 5:30 Rosados, yay! And then it's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all any of our mothers in our space here.
The director of our religious school is getting married on Saturday night.
Correct. The director of our religious school, Rachel Sherman, is getting married on Saturday night. I think you guys are missing the O by like minutes, right? Aren't you? Yeah. So I think that they're staying there, but not getting. You'll see them in the morning. Exactly. I'm sure you will. That's right. That's right. So what else? Next Friday is services are at 7 o'clock. We'll be honoring our 12th graders. Their 12th grade graduation will be happening next Friday at 7 o'clock. Come in and see them. They're so fabulous and so lovely. So come to services and support the kids. And bonus, if you come, it's also Chardonnay Shabbat. So that means that there will be open bar and so libations for the adults and not for you, libations for the adults. And there will be light bites,
which are really main dishes.
Which we know when VIP caterers does it, it means an actual full dinner. So yes, you should come and join us. That's next week at 7 o'clock for services. And then not that far from now also is Shavuot. That's going to be on a Sunday.
May 20th is Sisterhood Shabbat.
All right, May 20th is Sisterhood Shabbat. Yes, thank you. May 20th is Sisterhood Shabbat. Yes, thank you. That's going to be at 7 o'clock, also on May 20th. Then is Shavuot. That's going to be on a Sunday. I don't remember the date, but it's Shavuot.
29.
And that's also going to be Shavuot, confirmation, and Yizkor. All will be on that same day. I think those are the announcements that we have. Do we have anything else coming up?
I think that's enough.
I think that's good. I think that's good. We're going to begin to conclude our service with Aleinu and Kaddish. Aleinu can be found on page 282, and together we stand.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we transition to Kaddish Yatom, to Mourner's Kaddish, we think in the period of Shiva, we think of Doris Gold. In the period of Shloshim, the immediate 30-day mourning period, we think of Stephanie Meiselman, Paulette Howard, Susan Silver, Cindy Walkoff. And our yortzites that occur for us on this Shabbat: Leo Bronner, Lois Braunschweig, Harvey Cohen, Esther Colton, George Cortman, Tilly Federer, Dina Gordon, Hyman Greenberg, Richard Greenberg, Carol Hirschhorn, Saul Katz, Michael Lax, Rose Lech, Leo Levy, Marilyn Levy, Harry Lieberman, Leonard Lifton, Gertrude Lukumnik, Harry Meyerson, Jerry Ostroy, Pedro Schmeichler, Ann Skolnick, Lauren Tracy Stern, Rana Tashoff. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time. Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 294. 294. Yitkadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'almad yivrach cherutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala b'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitpara v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, ויתעדה ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, עושה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. As together we say amen. Please be seated. We are going to conclude our service with Shalom Aleichem, which I believe is on page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei
Shalom, may God give strength unto our people, continue to bless us with hope and strength in love and peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom.